Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Hello, Cobbs Corner family, and welcome to another episode of Cobbs Corner, your one-stop shop for all things TV, film, and pop culture. If this is your first time listening, then welcome to the Cobbs Corner family, and for my returning listeners, welcome back. This is, of course, the 94th episode of Cobbs Corner, so thank you for tuning in. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing this broadcast. In today's episode, we will be navigating the treacherous jungles of Vietnam in Platoon. My next, I guess, this is a special guest episode for Cobbs Corner. You see, in the past, I'm used to only having one other guest on the show. Like if you guys remember last week, I only had Preston. But on today's episode, for the very first time, I'm having two guests. Okay, we're bringing in Preston and EZ Bluez. I've talked about them in previous episodes. I was on their show, Preston and EZ Bluez, 2 years ago. I think it was maybe July of 2023. And Preston was on last week. We have now officially brought together, Preston and EZ Bluez. So let's all give a warm Cobbs Corner welcome to Preston and EZ Bluez. Hooray! What's going on?
What's going on? Welcome, bienvenue. It's interesting to be on this side.
Yep.
I think it's great, honestly.
He's great.
Yeah. Nice being in the passenger side.
In the passenger side, as opposed to the driver's side.
As opposed to driving, driving the content and worrying about that. We're just like, no, we're just here. We're in the passenger side. This guy's driving the content. He knows when to say what he needs to say, when not to say what he needs to say, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
It's glorious.
Of course. I'm burdened with a purpose, and it's glorious. Shout out to Nerd Out. I can't wait to be on one of your songs.
Awesome.
Yep. Can't wait to do a cover of one of your songs. Patreon link in the description. So, EZ Bluez.
Yes, sir.
A question I have to ask all of my first-time guests. I asked this question to Preston in the last episode. EZ Bluez, for myself and for the Cobbs Corner family, what is your origin story? Tell us about the day where you were bitten by that radioactive spider and just felt a sudden urge to create Preston and EZ Bluez. Like I just want to give you the floor. Like just let us all know, what is your origin story.
When talking about the Preston and EZ Bluez aspect of it, I love the fact that origin story revolves around just an incredible friendship, a friendship that was sparked over a walk from some place corporate fast food joint in which we both worked up until our homes. And this back and forth of this incredible, and the chemistry was just on point. And I knew right then and there that this was just somebody that I wanted to be friends with and nothing else. And then from there, this incredible partnership has gone through, which I think is amazing. But for me, that origin story started with that phone call. I want to do this. Are you in? And Preston is the person that could call me and be like, I need to hide a body. And I'm like, yo, I'm in. Like, let's go, giddy up. Let's handle this business. And I'm just lucky enough to, a lot of the times I say all the time that he's the news source of the pair. I am there for all the funny jokes and pops and whistles. But he's really there, streamlining the content and holding it together. So I appreciate being part of the ride.
Definitely. EZ Bluez. I guess I'd like to also say congratulations. I know it was last year. Your band, Shame Penguin, recently won a New England Music Award.
New England Music Award for best punk act, which is hysterical because we're not really a punk band. So, and I think it's awesome that you can be able to represent a genre that has no rules. And the fact that there is even a genre that is known as best punk, to me, is hysterical. So of course we should win it, because every band is a punk band, because every band is sitting there in the struggle. So I love it. I absolutely, it was an incredible experience. Didn't know we really had no chance. We thought we had no chance. And the minute the announcer goes, "This is one of the coolest band names I've heard in a long time," I looked at the bass player. I was like, "I think we're about to win this thing." And he's like, "Yeah, we're," announced our names, and we're like, "Oh my God." And I said a whole bunch of words I can't say on the air. And then we got to go to the announcement, and in the announcement, my bass player does the most incredible Wu-Tang thing in my entire life. He just grabs the microphone for me. He goes, "Shame Penguin is for the children. Shame Penguin is for the children." And we walked off stage.
All right. I'm definitely. I may or may not be stealing that. When I get recognized at some award ceremony. It's either that, or I probably show up with like a whole like script and just like pull that out of my back pocket and just pull out the papyrus. Just I'd like to thank this person, these guests, and that guest, and this network for putting me on when nobody knew my name. They wanted to know what I'd say if I didn't win.
That's key. You practice that though, right? You've got to practice that at least once or twice in your life. That acceptance speech or something like that. Not saying that it'll ever come to happen, but if you don't practice it, it's such an incredible feeling to even just practice and pretend and to be back in the child. And that's one of the reasons why I love movies so much, because it allows us to actively engage. Because look, let's be honest, none of us are old enough to participate in the Vietnam War. We don't know what that was like. All we have are these documentations through film and media. And they tell us on how it was back then. And this is one of the most accurate portrayals on how it was back then. And I think that's why it's such an iconic movie to be a part of and to sit and talk about. So I'm very happy to unpack this movie with you.
Definitely. So I know you guys have your recurring segment, the three nerds venting, and I think you guys also had interviewed, was it Dr. Creative recently?
Yeah, we did. It was fun.
Yes. Dr. Creative is awesome. I love talking with Dr. Creative. Dr. Creative and I can go back and forth for hours, just inspiring each other for different ideas. We just throw them at each other. I'm like, "You should do this," and then he goes, "You should do this." And if there was someone taking notes for it, they'd probably make $1 million.
Oh, easily.
I see.
Oh.
All right, so sorry. Easy is over there having a party. After the technical difficulties, we are back. I do apologize to my listeners and viewers. Easy, you were talking about. I think the last question I asked was about Dr. Creative and.
Just I love bouncing ideas off of Dr. Creative. It's great to be around his energy and to see his new evolution. The Dr. Creative cookbook, which is dope. And see something. Anytime someone can talk passionate about something, I want to be with them and I want to be around them and I want to talk with them because I feed off that energy. I'm like an energy vampire. I need that energy to continue to be inspired and move forward.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, I guess that almost kind of in a way keeps you young, sort of like just that endless desire to learn new things, and that's something that I'm learning now, like as a young adult, as someone who came out of school and then chose not to go straight into my field, which is engineering, and I went overseas for a year and taught at a high school overseas for a year. And now I'm back, and also while also maintaining the podcast and continuing to talk about the movies, but I'm also like learning new things. I might have to pick up his cookbook because cooking is actually a skill that I need to pick up at some point.
Understandable. Those DoorDash bills add up, man. If you can't cook, eating out that adds up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have to say I love your guys' show. I've been listening. I've been tuning into the Three Nerds Venting. I think there was one episode you guys started talking about What If, and I still haven't watched season 3 of What If. I'm just so behind on
Right.
Marvel. I'm like, I'm like just now starting to catch up with Agatha All Along,
Oh wow.
and
Which is dope.
because I think the job that I have now, I had just started working
Right.
my new job, so I watched the first
Okay.
like 2 episodes in real time, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna wait and just binge it all at once. That was before I decided to have a crime spree for 2025. I'm doing Breaking Bad. I'm on season 3 now.
Nice.
Then after that, I'm doing Better Call Saul and the movie El Camino. So that'll be Netflix. And then on Max, I'm doing The Wire, The Sopranos, Many Saints of Newark,
Oh,
maybe
wow.
Boardwalk Empire as well. But yeah, that
Heavy
was kind of
lifting.
my yeah. I mean,
Some heavy
it's a lot of
lifting there, man.
Yep, it's heavy lifting, but I am definitely up for it. Preston, I was not going to drag you all the way onto Cobb's Corner without at least asking you about like I think since we last spoke, I feel like a lot has happened in the world of the WWE. I
Yeah.
know Jey Uso is Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble, and it's funny because like I was honestly like kind of on the edge of my seat because it's like it would be poetic either way. It's like you have John Cena as like the runner up. I'm thinking like this is his last Royal Rumble. I'm thinking like, what if he actually wins? And because
Yeah.
he's won 2 Royal Rumbles but before, I'm like thinking, what if he actually wins it? And Jey Uso, I
Yeah.
mean, it went to Jey Uso, and we now know that he'll be facing off against Gunther, the ring general, at WrestleMania. Um, I just wonder is Jey Uso and maybe even like the Bloodline, like are they kind of the future of the WWE or
Certain members of the future of the WWE, in my opinion. Definitely Jey Uso. I think he was the right pick to win it because he's the most over right now. He's selling the most merch, and he's the best wrestler right now to appeal to the kids. The kids love him, and kids will definitely generate a product more. You get more watchers with children, and I think he's the perfect fit for it. And I'm very, very happy for him because that's a person who put in for 15 years to get that spot. And definitely a salute to John Cena because he was a class act putting him over too. So I was really happy with that whole decision. But as far as members, Fatu definitely he's a star. He's been a star for Easy can agree with me for a very, very
A
long time.
long time.
I'm saying at least a decade. As soon
yeah.
as he was in the Independence and teaming up with his cousin Zilla Fatu, Jacob is definitely a star, in my opinion. Other members, new members, Solo, I feel needs a little bit more time, in my opinion, before he gets that heavyweight strap. Fully carrying on, but just certain stars you see just without that faction are going to shine. I'm patiently waiting for Jimmy Uso's solo run to see how that will go because I feel he does deserve a shot at least at a solo run to see what he can do for the table. So it's very interesting and it's a great time to be a fan right now. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh it's funny. I realize I guess like Jacob Fatu and like the Usos and like the bloodline. I realize like how huge that like wrestling family is because I know the Usos,
Yeah.
they're the sons of Rikishi, who
Mhm.
is first cousins with The Rock, and then like The Rock's also I think related to Roman Reigns as well. And I'm like,
Yep.
this
And
entire
It's
the
a great
Usos are
family
related.
lineage.
Yeah,
is
the
like
the Usos are related to Roman as well. They all come from the same line as Yokozuna. It goes
Yeah.
as far back as the Head Shrinkers, and Captain, of course, Chief Maivia, as
yeah.
well. The Grand Chief. We really truly respect. And when you say, are they the future? They've been here all along. In some way, they've been making this sport all along, whether it be walking out with Tamina that first night on Raw, or for their debut, or whether when they had to go back to NXT and repackage themselves with a little bit more of the tribalistic aspect of it. They really have grown and really have, as Preston said, put in the work where both of them do deserve. I would love to see Jay. I would love to see Jay take it, but I'd also love to see Jimmy take a middle card title. I'd love to see him with a United States title run. Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah.
I would love to see that.
Yeah, definitely. I only really asked like if they were the future because I only recently, like just this year, got back into wrestling because now now it's the Netflix era, and I think Preston, you and I talked about how this is kind of going to be the future of like not just sports entertainment but also of like basketball and football. Like it's all going to transition to the streaming services.
Absolutely.
I guess since I've been so like kind of casually like. I was kind of casually like peeking at wrestling every now and again, and I remember when John Cena was like really the face of the company, and I feel like now it's maybe Cody Rhodes as the American Nightmare. Like I remember when Cody Rhodes was still young and still new, he was a part of I think Legacy with Randy Orton, and they were actually one of the matches that night. I was at the XL Center in Hartford, and Monday Night Raw came to the XL Center's 2009.
Right.
But like, and then I also remember 2010 when Shawn Michaels quote unquote retired, or he had the wrestler's retirement, where they'll like they'll say that they're retiring, like this they'll wrestle their last match at WrestleMania, and then they'll like retire for like a certain amount of years, and then they'll just come out of retirement. And I think now Shawn Michaels is the owner of NXT. They kind of did the same thing with The Rock when he retired in 2004 and then came out of retirement in 2011. What I found interesting was that with John Cena, like he's officially announced his retirement tour, and we know that I think this fall will be his very last match. He is, I think, told the press and told his fans. Like I just saw a YouTube short where he said how a lot of times wrestlers, they'll do that wrestler's retirement thing where they retire for a certain amount of years, but maybe they remain a consultant or they keep working with the business behind the scenes off screen, which I think is kind of what happened with Triple H. But and then maybe they'll come out of retirement later on. He has assured his fans that this will not be a wrestler's retirement. Like when he's done, like this year was his last Royal Rumble. Like he even said there is no maybe next year. And I think John Cena's had one of the more he's had one of the more successful transitions to acting. I was kind of sleeping on him at first. Of course, The Rock being the first one to, I think, successfully make that transition from wrestling to acting, and then I guess Dave Bautista kind of followed suit. But I guess when I watch Dave Bautista and like John Cena on screen, I think they have been able to break that mold of pro wrestlers becoming their in-ring personas on screen. Right. Like how many times have you seen The Rock actually perform the rock bottom I think it was Fast and Furious 7. Like he literally like performs the rock bottom to Jason Statham's character, and it's like, but then I look at like guys like John Cena. I'm like, no, this guy, he can act, and I actually want to see him in action movies. I mean he's, I guess, under the age of 50. He's I think 47, so he's kind of getting up there, but I think he has a future as an actor, as does Dave Bautista, who's not as big and buff anymore. Dave Bautista, he said like when you're the big buff guy, you're very limited in the amount of roles that you're given. And and I remember watching Knock at the Cabin, and I realized like he actually has range. He can actually be a dramatic, like serious actor. So if you look at him today, he's kind of slimmed down, and he says, I'm focused more on longevity. So I'm wondering, will the same thing happen for John Cena? Of course, it's bittersweet because there's an entire.
I think it will. I think once he's retired and he can finally eat that ice cream, he's going to eat that ice cream, and it's going to feel so dang good. And he's going to be like, oh, I don't have to worry about counting anything from this point on. He'll probably still work out. Don't get me wrong, but I'll see him more be on the size of like Mark Wahlberg.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
The size of which he is now. The Rock is another story. He's just always going to be that super action hero, and that's just the way that it's going because he doesn't have that range unless he's doing comedic roles. The Rock can do comedic roles. He's got the comedic timing down pat. And also, never to disrespect. We're also, your film aspect of it. So I want to make sure that we're paying tribute because they all pale in comparison to Roddy Piper and They Live.
Yeah, Roddy Piper was good and They Live.
What's
That's
the
some
name of
homework
the movie?
for you. They Live.
They Live.
You would like that
Roddy,
movie.
yeah. Roddy
Is that
Piper,
the movie?
You would love that movie.
Is that the movie where he like robs a bank or something and says like I'm here to
man.
No, but he is here to chew bubble gum and kick booty. He is here for that. He does say that, but he's not robbing a bank. He sees people for what they really are.
That is true. And for your love of 80s movies, you would love it.
Yeah.
Just by that alone.
Yeah. All right. I will definitely put that
Plus,
on
it's one of the best fight scenes in movies. Louis Gossett Jr. and Roddy Piper in a brawl.
No, Keith David.
It was Keith David. I'm sorry.
Keith David.
Right. It was Keith David. It was
the
Keith
GOAT.
David.
Keith David. That's right. Mm-hmm.
My God, that man's everywhere. I will add that.
Oh yeah, man. He's one of my favorite actors.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's on Abbott Elementary. Really, I was introduced to him through Agent Cody Banks. Not gonna lie.
Okay, that's true. He's a great voice actor too. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. I will add that movie to the ever-growing list of movies for me to watch. It never ends with the.
It'll never end.
TV and film podcast. Yeah, I guess. Last question I'll ask before we actually get into the intro is, I guess for both of you, because you two go and then I'll go. Like, what are some of your, I guess, streaming recommendations, like any good movies or TV shows that you've seen recently, either in theaters or on stream? Just recommendations, I guess, for myself and for the listeners.
Go ahead, Easy.
I got you. I definitely do. I am a content consumer. I love to consume the content. One of the best shows that I've seen in a long time, there's two of them. TV shows. If you haven't seen Will Trent, or as I like to call it, PTSD Detective, Will Trent is a phenomenally written show, great acted, and also the new one for this season was High Potential. I didn't think I was going to like it. I went into it not, like, oh, this is going to be just another fish out of water comedy type of thing. But it's a really good police procedural that really works the different angles and gives you that extra whataboutism. And I feel it has one of the best closing season finales I've seen in a long time, which I'm actually like annoyed that I have to wait another year now to find out what the next chapter is.
I know one. I'm probably gonna extend my answer too. Squid Game. Watch Squid Game. It's awesome. I like the new season. Invincible. The new season came out. Invincible is it's a very boys R-rated animated superhero show, which I really love. So definitely check out that new season that came out. And a kids show. It's a remastered for the new generation of kids. It's Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I really enjoyed that show. And a show I want to watch, which I probably have to get a new subscription for, is there's a show called Severance, which I hear is really good. I'm hearing great things about that. It's directed by Ben Stiller, and it's on Apple TV. And it's a series just based on mental health, and Adam Scott's in it. And I really want to check out Severance. I heard great things about that, and the trailers are looking amazing for that.
Cool. I've seen the trailers for Severance, Squid Game. I did watch both seasons of Squid Game. The first season I watched in English. The second season I made sure I watched in Korean.
Really?
Can't wait for season 3. Yeah, because then it gives me a reason to learn the language. Like, let me learn the language, come back and watch it without any subtitles.
True.
But especially when I eventually do the top 100 non-English movies. I think the first movie on that list is Seven Samurai, so I might have to give you guys a call again. And it's funny.
You ain't ready.
That's a movie. That's a movie that when I was teaching overseas, I taught a class originals versus remakes. I wanted to teach Seven Samurai. I decided not to, only because it's 3 hours long and
Right.
it's completely in Japanese. It's in black and white. I'll watch it.
Right.
I'll still do an episode on it, but because I was gonna do Seven Samurai versus Magnificent Seven, which is an American remake of Seven Samurai. So instead, what I did was I just did Magnificent Seven, the one from the '60s, and compared it to the Antoine Fuqua Magnificent Seven from 2016. Yeah, as far as high potential, I've heard of that show. I've never been the biggest like crime detective show fan. I caught a few episodes of Law and Order growing up. A few episodes of Castle here and there. Castle, Bones.
Bones is good.
Yeah. Well, I'm a huge Sherlock Holmes fan, so anything that's in like that Sherlock Holmes type of format where you get to actually figure out a puzzle, I'm going to like a little bit more. Or if not, there's the trashy reality TV, which I can't live without. You show me this next season of Big Brother. In fact, put me on the next season of Big Brother, and I'll make him $500,000. I will win. I have no problem with that. I know it for a fact. This is not conjecture.
All right. So if anybody is listening from Big Brother, any Big Brother executives, just definitely give my man Easy a shout. He wants to go on that show. Me personally, I don't know if I could ever go on any reality shows. Like I've never really watched reality TV like that. I've caught some of it in passing. I think the only technically reality show I watched, there was a show on Max. I think the third season might have gone to the CW. It was called F Boy Island.
Yes, it was. But it was it was.
So there was that show.
That was a show.
It was a show, definitely.
That's a show.
Definitely was a show.
I don't think I'm ready.
You're not ready for that. You're not ready for that show.
Nope. If you just know that I have thrown in the towel. If you ever see me on whether it be that show or The Bachelor, it's like you just know I have.
You've just given up on love altogether. You're just I don't even care.
It's just like
just give me a paycheck. I don't care about love.
To be honest,
that's all right. At least you don't wind up on like Flavor of Love. It could be worse.
Okay, that show I remember.
Right.
I mean, I was little, but
still,
still,
you just be competing for the next love heart of Chaperone. You'll be fine.
Oh yeah. I guess for me, The Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, I've seen a couple episodes. Again, I'm juggling like 5 different like shows at once. Like I just feel like I don't know if you guys have seen Spy Kids.
I love Spy Kids.
At the start of Spy Kids 2, like that when they're at the roller coaster and there's like the troublemaker logo and it's like the juggler and he's got like the 10 hands. That's how I feel sometimes. Like I'm just juggling. Like I got this show, I got that show, I got this movie series, I got that movie series. Oh, and that movie turns 25 this year. This movie turns 20, and Avengers: Age of Ultron turns 10 this year. I got to make a post about this, and that.
Yep.
But for me, streaming recommendations. If you haven't already, watch Cobra Kai. Yes. I haven't seen the last 5 episodes. That's probably what I'm doing as soon as we're done with this episode. Please, to my listeners, please don't spoil it for anybody. Okay, like it's such a great show. The Karate Kid was actually the very first movie that I taught in that elective original versus remake. I did Karate Kid 1984 versus Karate Kid 2010. I did not show them Karate Kid 2 or 3, but definitely recommend Cobra Kai. Recommend Love and Basketball. That's a movie I watched recently.
Great movie.
I watched
great movie.
I had initially watched it in college. I took a class African American cinema, and we did our final project on Black romance films. The 3 films were Love and Basketball, Love Jones, and Coming to America. The film that I was assigned was Love and Basketball, so that was my analysis was of Love and Basketball. So I recently rewatched that movie in honor of Valentine's Day. The movie turns 25 this year, Black History Month. So everything just kind of collided
nice.
this President's Day weekend. What else? Last night I just watched the Five Bloods. It's a Spike Lee movie on
good movie.
Netflix. Yep.
Good movie. Yes.
Kind of relevant to today's episode. So definitely check out The Five Bloods. It's a Spike Lee joint. I know we are eventually going to do the right thing. Probably 2 episodes from now. which is unfortunately the only Spike Lee movie on the list.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's the only Spike Lee movie on the list, and not a single John Singleton movie made the list, which, you know,
What the? That's yeah. I got words. I got words.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to say them, but I got words.
It's fine. It's totally
No,
fine.
it's not fine. It's not fine. I got a bad mouth. No, we're gonna keep it for where it is. This is I'll give you the kid friendly version of the show.
Of course, of course. Let's see. I guess the last streaming recommendation I have is White Lotus. White Lotus, that was
White
my
Lotus is
show this summer. I remember because I had just come home in like June, and I think like when I had the summer job that I was doing, I was teaching at a summer program at Sacred Heart University, and I just remember like picking up the show White Lotus. I think it was one of those shows that just sat on my list on Max forever, and then I finally came around to it. And then I don't know if you guys are familiar with, there's the event Skateport in Bridgeport. Yeah, so yeah, I was at Skateport because my aunt was one of the DJs. Big, shout out to her. And one of the other DJs was playing, and I think she was playing like a remix of like the White Lotus theme song. I'm like, hey, yo, is that theme song White Lotus? So yeah, White Lotus. Check out seasons 1 and 2 if you haven't already. I want to say season 3 drops tonight. Just the first episode.
Sunday.
Sunday. So yeah, I guess White Lotus and White Lotus, Cobra Kai. I guess that's all I really got for streaming recommendations. Of course, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Last question. I know I said that last time, but
That's all right.
It's all good, bro.
We love questions. It's okay.
I have to rename this segment the last question segment. Just like
All
keep
good, bro.
extending it. Have either of you seen Captain America: Brave New World?
I like it.
Yeah, we actually saw it. We saw it together too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it was yeah. It was a bro date. We went for a good solid bro date. Got to go. Nothing wrong with that. It should happen more often. You know what I'm saying? You just go out with your friends and you just have a good time. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it was much better than I thought it was going to be. It was written really well. It gave the flowers where the flowers were necessary.
Absolutely.
It also pushed back a little bit against some of the accolades in which have been actually happening on these very days. So it's really, really interesting to see. And
the Red Hulk fight lives up to what they said. The Red Hulk fight is awesome. The only negatives I feel, because I don't want to like spoil it for people, but the negatives I feel they tried to put a lot into this story that didn't really need to happen. Some stuff, I feel that it didn't need to be highlighted. If it's about a movie back in 2000 something, leave it there. You got a Black Captain America on Black History Month. Focus on him and let him tell his own story. I felt that they would have just focused on him more, because Anthony Mackie had great chemistry with everybody. There was nothing off about that in that film at all. No. There are a certain crowd who does not like that film. I think we all know the reason why, but I'm not going to say it. But
because the hats are red.
Yeah, but I'm not going to say it. But anyway, it does make you believe after you watch that film, Morgan, that he can lead the Avengers. He can lead the new team into the new era against whatever threat that's out there. So that's all I got to say about that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I actually also saw Captain America: Brave New World. It was also a quote unquote bro date, but I saw it that Thursday night like a fool, knowing that I had work the next day. That's the last time I allow my.
You saw it that Thursday evening as well too. Yes, we did.
We saw it Thursday evening as well.
Yep. Thursday evening. I'm probably going to see it again next weekend.
Nice.
Because I think we missed the first couple of minutes. That's the last time I let my best friend drag me to the movie theaters on a Thursday night, knowing that I have work the next day. I guess echoing what you had said, Preston. I think it was a good movie. I think it's one of those movies that kind of knows its audience. I think if you liked
Yeah,
Captain America: The Winter Soldier, you're gonna
absolutely.
like Brave New World. I do think it hit a lot of those same beats as
It really did.
Captain
Yeah.
America: The Winter Soldier.
Hmm.
Um, I guess they finally addressed the. I guess they dubbed it Celestial Island. So
Hmm.
Celestial Island is
All right,
addressed,
all
and
right, that was another problem with it since you said it. I saw Eternals, and the Celestials are supposed to be not mentioned throughout human beings. You know what I mean? They're like a private like group. You know, only the Eternals know about them. Only the Eternals will fight Celestials. You know, like how did that information get out there? You know, that was my only like geek uh nitpick I gotta say out of that. That's all. But they have to find a way to put adamantium in there because you know the X-Men are coming soon. But that was my nitpick.
right.
That's it. That's it
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me.
Yeah, I guess that's the only movie I've seen in theaters since
Hmm.
you and I last spoke, Preston.
Okay, cool.
I guess looking ahead, might eventually do an actual episode on Captain America: Brave New World.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Probably for the month of March. I know there's the movie Magazine Dreams that's coming out with Jonathan
I want
Majors.
to see that.
Definitely want to check that out. Definitely, wish him the best after his whole controversy with being fired from
Yeah,
Marvel
I
and
saw that
all
ordeal.
that. Um, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna go out and support that film. Sinners looks really good.
Yeah.
Sinners looks really good. I know it comes out Good Friday. I might see it that weekend. Uh, yeah, Sinners looks really good. And then also, well, the movie Snow White already has so much like outside controversy. It's one of those movies that the original Snow White is on the AFI Top 100. And
Okay. Yeah.
when I review it, my plan is to probably do a two-part episode. Probably do part one will be Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs from 1937. Part two will be Snow White from 2025. If the movie makes it to theaters, I'll probably end up doing an episode or doing like a raw reaction where I go see it in theaters so my listeners don't have to.
Right.
Because I kind of did the same thing with Joker too. It's like, no, I already wasted my money and saw it in theaters, so you don't have to. So you can wait for
Yeah,
it
I really
on.
wish I would have paid more attention to that. I saw it at least. I at least saw it at home, so it was
Yeah,
free.
he saw it at home.
I
So
saw it at home and it was free. But man, I'll never get those hours back.
I've heard
No,
not to see it. I heard
don't
I'm
see
better
it.
off. I heard
Don't
I'm better
don't.
off.
Oh, Joker 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't see it.
It's a one-time watch.
It's not even a one time watch. It's a pass the torch on the left hand side watch. It's not.
Pretty much. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of movies. I think I did a video that's up on my YouTube channel where I did like a tier ranking of just the Infinity Saga of the MCU
Right.
from 2008 to 2019. I think I had said that The Incredible Hulk was one of those movies that I wouldn't recommend watching more than 3 times over the course of your entire life.
Right.
There's that movie. I think I said the same thing about Thor: The Dark World. Um, Maybe the 2015 Fant Four Stick, which I think I still have on DVD. Again, that's another once, maybe twice
Hmm.
watch. But to be honest, I mean, Captain America: Brave New World. This wasn't even the film that I was most excited about this year. I was more excited for Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four
Fantastic Four.
first
Yeah.
steps. Um, I think with Fantastic Four, they got to get Galactus right. That's where Rise of Silver Surfer failed. As much as I'm someone who believes in second and third chances and, believes that you are not your past, but
Agreed.
they gotta get Galactus right. I was on the fence in like
Yeah.
2019 when Marvel acquired the rights to Fantastic Four. Like I was on the fence. I'm like, do we really want to do a third iteration of Fantastic Four? But after seeing that trailer, I think there's potential.
They know what they're doing. This was
Yeah.
planned. They know what they're doing, which I'm happy about.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know the best part about Captain America?
What?
They edited out Seth Rollins.
Oh. Seth freaking Rollins.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to do like a Cobbs Corner edit of like his theme song. Just
Seth Rollins.
Cobbs Corner.
Yeah. Seth Rollins was going to be Juan Carlos Esposito's part.
Yep.
I do remember hearing that. Yeah. Yes,
I'm so glad that they rewrote that. I'm so glad.
he was gonna play Bugging Out. Yep. But they that happened. So I guess with the intro portion done, let's Preston, why don't you start us off with the introduction for today's episode? Officially.
Chris Taylor, a neophyte recruit in Vietnam, finds himself caught in a battle of wills between two sergeants, one good and the other evil. A shrewd examination of the brutality of war and duality of man and conflict.
Chris Taylor is a young, naive American who gives up college and volunteers for combat in Vietnam. Upon arrival, he quickly discovers that this presence is not. When he gets there, that's plain and simple. No one really cares. When you leave, here he is. He thinks he's going to be a hero because he's volunteered for the war that no one else wants to volunteer for, and he wants to be portrayed as a hero. But really, they don't care because he wasn't there with day one. He hasn't put the time in. He hasn't actually worked the thing. So no one cares that he volunteered to be over there. They just think that just makes you that much sillier or that much dumber to volunteer to be over in the hellscape that is Vietnam. And while he's there, he actually sees Staff Sergeant Robert Barnes, who is a little more pleasant and cooperative of the aspect when you're dealing with Sergeant Elias Grodin, who was the better of the two. Excuse me, while my glasses are fogged up, that also winds up being fantastic. But as he actually goes through the film, not only does he understand that he's fighting the battle of the war itself, but he's fighting a battle for this platoon. Because you see a strict divide line between Sergeant Barnes and Sergeant Grodin and their people. And they're fighting for the identity of the platoon itself and its conflicts. So it was it's a definitely interesting film.
That's very interesting. This is actually the first film that I have reviewed that is directed by Oliver Stone. He is a 3-time Academy Award-winning director, as well as a Vietnam veteran. He actually, I want to say, did one tour of service with the Army Infantry. I don't know his exact unit or credentials, but I know he did a year in Vietnam, I think from 1967 to 1968, which is when this movie is set. So people have actually said that this is the most accurate depiction. Like it's more accurate than Full Metal Jacket or Apocalypse Now. No shade to those movies or anything, but that this is one of the more accurate because the director was actually there. So outside of Platoon, Oliver Stone, he's known for directing Born on the 4th of July, which came out in 1989, JFK in 1991, and Natural Born Killers in 1994. But this movie is written and directed by Oliver Stone.
Starring Charlie Sheen, 4-time primetime Emmy nominee as Chris, known for playing Charlie Harper on 2.5 Men from 2003 to 2011. Bud Fox in Wall Street, one of my favorite films, in 1987. Aramis and the Three Musketeers in 1993. And Topper Harley in Hot Shots, Part Deuce, 1993.
Tom Bergeron, the Academy Award nominee for Sergeant Barnes, known for playing Sam in The Big Chill from 1983, Browning in The Inception from 2010, and Jack Taylor in Major League in 1989.
Funny, Tom Berenger, I'm wondering, was he the sergeant in the flashback sequences? I forget which season of Cobra Kai it is, where they actually are in Vietnam and there's the sergeant.
That's not him. Yeah,
that's not him. Okay.
That's not
Yes. The movie also stars Willem Dafoe, 4-time Academy Award nominee as Sergeant Elias. Willem Dafoe, I mean, I feel like we've all seen at least one of his movies. He played the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn, in Spider-Man 2002. He played Bobby in The Florida Project 2017. Vincent Van Gogh in At Eternity's Gate in 2018. And Thomas Wake in The Lighthouse 2019. A24, really great movie with Robert Pattinson. So without any further ado, let's go to Cobbs Corner. And we're back. So, I guess before we get into the favorite parts, I would like to at least say how when I was looking at the cast of this movie and just like seeing them throughout this movie, it's like it's a really stacked cast, and it's a lot of actors that I'm used to seeing when they're older. Like even as I'm watching the movie, it's like I'm seeing like yeah, that's Willem Dafoe, but like I'm like almost projecting the like Green Lantern, the Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe onto this like I'm almost like seeing the older face on this younger body, and like same goes for like Forrest Whitaker and Keith David, and Johnny Depp is in the movie. He has a minor role, but yeah, just like the kind of like the double take or the Mandela effect that I'm having during this movie, and I guess forgetting that I guess these actors did have careers before, you know, I saw them in that one movie that came out after I was born, and so yeah, that was kind of just I guess my initial thought going into the movie, even just watching the trailer.
Right.
So. But,
no, it's definitely that type of movie where it is a stacked cast. It was supremely well written, and you know, making sure that the director is also the writer is also the director. I think is a bold move, because nowhere else can the person see the vision. You know, becomes very, very singular. And sometimes you want different points of view and different perspectives, but the fact that it's a very singular perspective is very, 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 very important to the movie.
Visually, it was beautiful.
Oh yeah, definitely the visuals. I think even just the opening scene, like seeing Charlie, no, not Charlie, Chris, Chris, who's played by Charlie Sheen, just seeing him getting off the plane at that airbase, and the first thing he sees is the body bags, and just seeing the body bags getting carted away, and he actually sees one soldier who's walking the opposite direction, who's coming from the battle, and then here is Chris, this like newly minted, like kind of the new guy coming in, and even in his like narration as he's I guess writing the letter to his grandmother, he said something along the lines of like, oh, they say it's easy if you like die within the first like couple of days or weeks or something in Vietnam, because then you don't have to like end up watching half of your brothers die. And you know, I mean, I would just like to honestly, from the bottom of my heart, you know, before this episode goes any further, to any and all military veterans, our men and women who have served this country, you know, those currently serving, thank you for your service. You know, thank you. I will never stop saying thank you for your service to this country, especially if there are any Vietnam veterans that are listening. I would love to hear your stories, you know, in the comments down below, because I know this war is probably one of the most important wars in our nation's history, because like, I don't know if it's the only war that we've lost, but it's definitely like one of the earliest or most impactful like wars that we actually like lost.
Right.
So, but
well, and it's one of the key things if you really look at it. You know, is there a winner and a loser? Period in any type of war type battle when it comes down to it. You know, endless lives are going to be ended, and there's going to be so much collateral damage that is ridiculous. And what we can see even in this film is you can actually see their humanity start to fade away, as they get further and deeper into what it's like to be in wartime. So definitely, it hardens people, and it can do some severe damage. And I'm glad there are a lot of good programs now for veterans that can get the help that there's necessary.
Absolutely.
The 22 hotline, every 22 seconds a veteran commits suicide. So make sure that you're reaching out and you're speaking to your veteran friends and you're checking on them, even if it looks like they're having a normal day. They still could be fighting a huge war inside. So please be kind. That's all I'm saying. Be kind.
Oh yeah, I think actually in my in the town that I live in, I think I actually live right up the street from either VFW or like American Legion, one of those spots. But yeah, definitely, the PTSD. I mean, again, I don't pretend to know because I am not of a military background. I have relatives and I know people who served served in the military. I know a guy who did 3 tours in Iraq. I think I have a cousin who was a Vietnam vet, but he was Air Force, I think. So
Okay.
So yeah, I think also what this movie does well is they talk about how usually in the wartime it's the poor and working class folk. They're the ones who are fighting the war. And I think that's something that was brought up, I think, in the movie Free State of Jones with Matthew McConaughey. It's set in like the Civil War. I forget the guy's name, but he had that song Fortunate Son, which I think is centered around Vietnam. I wonder, is that the song that was in the movie Apocalypse Now, or that song is in some Vietnam War movie, and it's like in the chorus he says like, it ain't me, I ain't no senator's son, I ain't no millionaire's son. Like it's always I guess what the Romans would call the head count. Like the Romans, they had a term, I guess essentially that the head count, like the folks who are part of the population, but they're not really known. They're almost like kind of the forgotten sons of Rome. It's like, yeah, they show up in they show up in the head count in the population, birth certificates, death certificates, but they don't show up anywhere else. Kind of that.
The answer to your question is Apocalypse Now.
Apocalypse Now. Okay, so I was right.
And it was also in Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Forrest Gump. Stay tuned for both of those episodes in the future. This movie it definitely deals with questions of morality and courage. Like one of the videos I watched was like about analyzing evil, and there's the Sergeant Barnes, who I think is a bit of a sympathetic villain in the fact in the sense that he has been shot 7 times. His entire face is one big scar. He has survived much more and much worse than, say, Elias, and this has kind of shaken his morality, and it's kind of shaken his morality to the point where he is willing to do whatever it takes to keep his platoon alive, even if that means just acting based on impulse, based on a feeling. Like there's a scene where they're in the village and they see that like the village does have a ton of rice and that they do have weapons, but you also have to understand that these people are in a war-torn country. They've probably been attacked by both the Viet Cong and now the Americans. Like of course they're going to want to protect their village, and it's possible maybe
absolutely.
They could have been harboring Viet Cong, but that's no excuse to just go in and start attacking innocent men, women, and children. And I think we see that a lot in warfare. Is that really the real losers of the war are the non-combatants, the real, like the collateral damage, the ones, they're the real losers. It's almost like although Imperial Japan did surrender after the atomic bombs were dropped, but it's like, okay, so yeah, we just won the war, but at what cost? And now they've got to, rebuild. And I remember, I think 2020, they had a like 75-year anniversary, but it was a memorial for the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Shout out to any listeners that I have in Japan in that region. But it was like immemorial because scientists were saying nothing would grow there for 75 years, and miraculously, you look at those cities today, it's almost like the bombings never happened. But
Right.
but yeah, I mean, Barnes, he's like acting on impulse, and there's that scene where Elias like confronts him and actually like pins him down and says like, what are you doing? Just attacking this, attacking this village, and you can tell that like a lot of the soldiers in that scene, which I think is the essential scene of this film, you can tell that like it doesn't sit right with them, like
Right.
what they're doing. Like they know that what they're doing is wrong, but I guess they've accepted the fact that in times of war, nobody leaves with clean hands. Everybody's hands are going to be filthy, you know, on both sides. And really, I think one of the quintessential moments of that scene is when I think Charlie sees like two of the soldiers. They take like I guess two of the girls. I guess two of the girls from the village. I guess they take them off into like behind some tree. They were about to assault them, and then
Yeah.
Charlie says, or Chris, I keep saying Charlie. Chris says how like these little girls, they're not just dinks or gooks or whatever. These are human beings. Like
Absolutely.
this is a village. These are human beings. These are families. With families. These are
Yeah, of
homes.
course.
So it's easy to lose sight of that in the heat of battle and in the heat of yeah, I mean in the heat of battle, in the heat of war, like it's just easy to lose that human side of you.
Well, when you have to face the fact that you have to be ready to take someone else's life, you start to lose that humanity in you. A part of you on the human side of the scale does go away, and it has to be locked away for a little while because if not, the nightmares never stop. That's just the reality of it. One of the best things that can happen is, which they do now in the military, which I think is awesome, is they actually prep people up for being released from the military into society again, because there is a whole bunch of things that aren't the same. It's plain and simple. You can't pop off, at a McDonald's because the food is not going, the way that it's supposed to go. There's just certain things you can't do that, you were able to do while you were serving.
Yeah, it's almost like it reminds me of I guess two movies. One is First Blood, the first Rambo movie, and then
Yeah.
also recently there was the movie Rebel Ridge on
Mm-hmm.
Netflix. And again,
That was a good movie.
another streaming recommendation that I hadn't thought of
Yeah.
at the time. Um, what happens when you leave the war, when you leave, whether if you were serving like domestically, whether if you were like in the reserves or you did a tour overseas and you actually like saw some action. But what happens when the war is over and you come home? Like what happens to a
Mm-hmm.
warrior when they have no war to fight in peacetime?
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely like what they did with the movie Rambo, analyzing the psyche of, well, specifically of Vietnam veterans and the just sheer, I don't even know if atrocities is the right word, but just the indescribable just hell that they witnessed in Nam, and now having to come back to the States or going back to the world, I guess, as they would say. And like I'm supposed to just like live a normal life now. I'm supposed to just like
Mm-hmm.
ride a desk or just like I'm supposed to just like move on with my life afterwards. Like even though I've like seen all this stuff, on the other side of the planet, and a lot of it. I know every military veteran like kind of has their own unique testimony, but for many of them, they're not always comfortable with talking about what they witness. Some stuff you bring home, other stuff stays there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I definitely liked the fact that this movie deals with morality and like courage, and how really Elias was the one who had like shown the courage, how the real courage would have been to make that separation between the innocent villagers and the VC.
Yep.
And like, courage is not just simply, getting as many kills as you can. It's knowing when not to shoot first and ask questions later. And and the thing I really liked about the ending of this movie, and I
Yeah.
think this was the last line of the movie in the letter that Chris is writing to his grandmother. He says, "The war was not against the Viet Cong; it was against ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and we were our own enemy. Really, the war was against ourselves." And so I think they definitely, with this movie, really hit it home. And of course, the movie ends with dedicated to those who lay down their lives in the Vietnam War. So but I guess, did you guys have any other favorite parts that you wanted to talk about, or
Um, I'm gonna have to watch the movie again, but I like the whole movie as a whole because I love my army movies realistic. I love that factor. I love the fact that Oliver Stone was a veteran and he pushed the cast and he had the cast in boot camp. So all the
Mm-hmm.
cast
I
members
was just
were in
about to
boot
say.
camp. Yeah, and they were just going at it. And it was like 2 weeks. And
Mm-hmm.
they had to feed. What was easy? Correct me if I'm wrong because you're a veteran as well.
Got you.
They had to eat the rations. Like, well,
Rations. Oh,
yeah,
yeah, it's the MREs.
yeah, they had to eat that and everything. So they really like put them to work for 2 weeks so to get a mindset of what that role is really like. And just seeing just a young Tony Todd is crazy. A young Keith David is crazy. A young
Mm-hmm.
John C. McKinley. I think he's the doctor from Scrubs. Just seeing him in his prime, and Johnny Depp and Charlie Sheen, like all those great, that iconic lineup. Just seeing them
Mm-hmm.
and the iconic death scene with William Dafoe. That was
Oh yeah.
it's
So
just
good.
too much to name when it says like scenes that that struck out to you because it was beautifully done. It was beautifully done what they did.
No, it definitely was beautifully done, and there isn't a moment in the movie that made me shy away or anything like that, which was great. And I've seen it in many different atmospheres. One of the times that I'll always remember is actually watching it during graduation week for basic training. Going back there and being in full battle rattle and sitting there and watching what's going on and to see the intenseness and how important it is, and to see the inner workings of what a platoon is and can be is so super important, because when you are out there, you only have your brothers, your sisters
Yeah.
out there, and that's all that you have. Um, and they're the most important people in your world, even if you can't stand them.
Definitely. Um, I think that this movie. Now, I haven't seen Deer Hunter or
Mm,
Apocalypse Now, and the only other Vietnam War movie that I've seen, well, I guess two if you count The Five Bloods, but The Five Bloods and Full Metal Jacket. I think this movie stands out from the rest because it has almost like a hopeful ending to it, even though, of course, with the Vietnam War, there was no light at the end of the tunnel per se. I mean, again, it's a war that we lost, and of course, you know, I think it was in when I was in high school, there was a documentary that was made from PBS, I think 2015, to commemorate the 40th anniversary of the evacuation of Saigon. It's a PBS documentary called the Last Days in Vietnam that I had to watch for extra credit in world history class. And yeah, just seeing like the evacuation, just all the people on the boats, people like grabbing onto the helicopters, and and I think actually this year marks either this year or next year marks 50 years since the unification of Vietnam.
Right.
But it was a huge just like bloodbath like after we had evacuated, and then the fall of Saigon, which isn't even called Saigon anymore. It's Ho Chi Minh City, and but I like that Oliver Stone, and again, it's different because he was actually there. I like that Oliver Stone kind of ends on a bit of a hopeful, bit of like a hopeful sort of, I guess, learning from the failure of the Vietnam War. But with that line, with that line about how like the war was against ourselves.
Yes.
Yes, it's probably arguably the most unpopular war that America's ever been involved in. But we were the real enemy. The real enemy was not the Viet Cong. Of course, within the context of the film, but I feel like there's a lot of like larger implications for that line. I do think that the Willem Dafoe's death scene might have been parodied in the movie Tropic Thunder.
Oh yeah,
it was. Yeah,
it's like and like I see that parallel now because like I had seen Tropic Thunder, and like now that I've seen. And now that I've seen Platoon, it's like okay, yeah, now I definitely see that parallel. But yeah, I think overall I give this movie like a solid 9 out of 10. Just bringing up the like, well, I guess we'll talk more about it in the next segment, but like the themes of like morality and courage and valor. So do you guys have any other favorite
I'd say
parts?
it's a solid 9 as well. I'll definitely agree with you right there.
No. But you, Preston.
Get about an 8 out of 10.
Ooh.
Preston says 8 out of 10.
He's the Russian judge.
Like I said, I gotta watch it again. It's been a long time since I watched it. That's all.
Okay, yeah. Well, I had only watched it. I've actually only watched it once. I watched it last weekend, and then I think I started it like yesterday, but then I didn't finish. And
it's all good.
I guess on to the themes and analysis.
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for granted and you know I'm leaving. I'ma take what's mine with the webs I'm weaving. I could take this crowd from seeing to believing. Got a taste for blood in my tongue.
All right, so Preston and EZ.
Yes, sir.
What would you say are maybe I know we kind of talked about it in the last segment, but what would you say are the themes and or like messages that this movie sends?
Well, obviously it sits along the lines of man versus man or man versus self, which is really the true aspect of it, is the man versus self kind of fight that goes in there, where you are merely the product of where your situation and the different things and the choices you make under those situations is what's going to make you as the human being in which you are. So I think that's one of the main themes. But also the morality side of things as well was a huge hit, because at the time, and also at the time, it wasn't necessarily wrong to do what was done. It wasn't illegal. Just because it's legal doesn't mean it should be done. And that's really one of those things of you can't really judge the people who did it because you weren't there, but you can see the point of view and the perspective of the people there, and you can get a better glance and a better realization of what it means.
Ooh, I don't want to top that one.
Yes, you can. You totally can top it. It's
fine. Through my perspective, through my perception of the film, I say discipline. It definitely teaches a lesson in discipline. I can't really speak from an army standpoint or military standpoint per se, but definitely discipline, because every day we have to deal with discipline. What's good and what's bad, the right things to do, the bad things to do. Focusing on the right thing to do in any situation, especially when it comes to this. That's the best way I can say about it. There's a million thoughts running in my head, but that's the best saying I can think of right now.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely. This discipline and being able to, like you said, do the right thing, not just when it's popular.
Yeah.
I would say, like doing the right thing, not just when that's what everyone else is doing, but being able to have a set of morals and standards and having a line that you don't cross. And whether if that, like whether if that like kind of gains you brownie points with everyone else, or not, whether or not you like gain friends by standing up for what is right, or you end up maybe losing friends, or losing popularity points, or whatever, simply because you're doing the right thing and you have a moral code of ethics that you live by. And I remember Easy, you had said in our last segment how it's in times of war, it's like you have to sort of surrender part of your morality because you have to mentally prepare yourself to take another person's life.
Yep.
So for me, I think it's just being able to have that balance of like, yes, we're at war. Yes, we're, again, you're prepared to take somebody else's life. A lot of times it comes down to either you or that other person, but then also being able to make the separation between, like, who's really the enemy and who's just the innocent bystander, and that sort of thing. So yeah, discipline. I'd say its themes are like discipline, courage, maybe discipline, courage, and virtue. I think are the three words that would come to mind.
Nice
for me for this movie.
Nice.
Yeah, I'd say those are the three themes, and I guess the impact that this movie has had as well. It's I had mentioned how they parodied the death in Tropic Thunder. They parodied Elias's death, but I also think this movie is again regarded as one of the greatest Vietnam War movies of all time. It's one of the most accurate depictions of Vietnam, and the movie definitely has a lot to say about not just Nam, but also being in the military, that sort of thing. So I stand by my 9 out of 10 rating.
Right.
Yeah, but I guess we can move on to the last segment, which will be Platoon Plus.
Platoon Plus.
Yeah.
Last time I saw a plus on something, it cost me an extra $29.95.
So,
I feel like I have to include that. All right, so Platoon Plus, Platoon won 4 Oscars. It had a total of 24 award wins and 16 nominations from other I guess from other awards shows. But yeah, in total it won Four Oscars. So, Preston, why don't you start us off with the awards?
1987 Oscar winner for Best Picture, Arnold Copelson.
1987 nominee for the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, Tom Bergeron, rocking and rolling.
Tom Bergeron for Barnes. 1987 nominee for Best Actor in a Supporting Role, Willem Dafoe.
1987 Oscar winner, Best Director, Oliver Stone.
1987 nominee for the Oscar, Best Writing Screenplay written directly for the screen, Oliver Stone.
1987 Oscar nominee for Best Choreography, Robert Richardson.
1987 Oscar winners, Best Sound, John Wilkinson, Richard D. Rogers, Charles Greensback, and Simon Kay.
1987 winner of the Oscar for Best Film Editing, Claire Simpson.
That is all for the Oscars.
Yeah.
Onto the trivia. Yes, Oscars, the award show that I have never actually stayed up and watched. DVRs were invented for a reason. So according to Oliver Stone, he intentionally cast Tom Berenger and Willem Dafoe against type. Berenger was mostly famous for playing good guys, while Dafoe had primarily played villains up until then. Both men received Oscar nominations for their work. So.
In many U.S. military leadership classes, the character of Lieutenant Wolf is used as an example of how not to behave as a junior officer.
The Vietnamese child that Kevin Dillon and Charlie Sheen tormented had bad cataracts, and his family was too poor to actually afford the treatment. So it reportedly, Dillon and Sheen actually felt so bad that they got the money, they pulled it all together, and got the kid the surgery.
That's cool.
Yeah, both definitely big shout out to Charlie Sheen and Kevin Dillon. Can't wait to have you on the podcast. I always get a kick out of like actors who can kind of play both sides, actors who can play a villain in one movie, but then also play a hero in another movie. The example definitely I always use is Denzel Washington. He can go from Malcolm X to Training Day to like Man on Fire to Great Debaters. So
yeah,
I always get a kick out of like actors who have that range.
Yeah, that range is awesome.
Yeah. Oliver Stone wrote the script's first draft in 1971 and sent it to Jim Morrison in hopes he could play the part Charlie Sheen ultimately played. Morrison had the script on him when he was found dead in Paris.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Doors fan, so that's dope.
Toward the end of the film, when the reinforcements arrived after the battle, Ra reaches into a dead VC's breast pocket, pulls something out, and keeps it. While looking around nervously, the item he is removing is heroin, which VC soldiers use as a painkiller. Many heroin-addicted U.S. troops did the same thing. The scene implies that Ra's mystical quality is a symptom of a larger problem.
Easy, why don't you read our user review provided to us by IMDb?
This is a huge review you got going on here. Wow. All right. 1980s in general and the mid 1980s in particular aren't highly regarded where pop culture is concerned. This is most especially true in cinema, where films seem to be written around their soundtrack in so much the same as Hollywood movies nowadays seem to be written around their special effects. Platoon is one of the very few films from that period that has an emotional impact, an impact that still remains while watching in today, or in this person reviewed this in 2003. So I will even say watching it today in 2025. Everyone seemed to have mentioned that Platoon as a classic anti-war, note it's anti-war, not anti-American or anti-soldier movie, with being a classic movie. so I won't go over old ground, except that the death scene is up there with the total tearjerkers in the scenes of the 20th century. So don't be ashamed if it made you cry. It's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to cry if sometimes you just gotta let it out. You know what I mean? It's fine. It's fine. All right. If Platoon has a flaw, it's in the duality. It's the good Sarge and the bad Sarge, the good officer and the bad officer, the good white guy and the bad white guy, the good black guy and the bad black guy, etc., etc., etc. Which maybe is a bit cliche and possibly leads me to believe Stone is making an excuse or a reason that Americans lost the Vietnam War because they spent so much time infighting that they didn't focus on fighting the VC. While Taylor's character comes across as being more of a literary device rather than a real human being, but those are just a few minor flaws. And finally, it is a shame to see war films from the last few devoid of scathing anti-war sentiments. Like the ones you see in Platoon scream at you, war is hell, and whatever rights and wrongs of conflict, you need a bloody good reason to wage war. Vietnam wasn't a good reason to sacrifice human lives. That's a lot of people's how they feel. That was intense.
Yeah. I mean, I think I had even said how like Vietnam is again arguably the most unpopular war that we've been a part of. But yeah, I guess having that duality was maybe, like the user said, a bit cliched.
But I mean, why else do we have cliches though? We have cliches because they work.
True. I guess Preston will appreciate the IMDb rating of 8.1 out of 10 stars.
Letterboxd score 4.5. 4 stars. 4 stars out of 5 stars. 4 stars out of 5 stars. My apologies. I was laughing over the joke. My bad.
The date was February 6th, 1987.
87. The movie was well, I guess countries of origin, United States and United Kingdom. It's an American film. Oliver Stone, he's not British, is he?
I think he's American.
No, he's American? Okay.
Yeah, brother, I'll double check.
Yeah.
Languages were in English and Vietnamese. Interesting.
Also known as Platoon.
I'm not sure what language that is. Filming location, the movie was filmed primarily in the Philippines. Shout out to any and all listeners that I have in the Philippines. I think that's also where Apocalypse Now was filmed, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah.
Production companies: Hemdale, Cinema 84, and Cinema 86.
Budget was $6 million, which is about $17 million in today's grand scheme of things.
Okay.
Its gross U.S. and Canada box office was $138,530,565, which translates to about $396.5 million in today's money. So it definitely made a ton more money than it actually cost to make. So it was a huge payday for everyone involved.
Gross worldwide, 138,545,632, which is about $396.5 million today in 2025.
Now, with the Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a tomato meter score of 89%.
The audience score is 93%. I'm maybe with the audience on this one.
Same.
Critic conscience. Informed by director Oliver Stone's personal experiences in Vietnam, Platoon forgoes easy sermonizing in favor of a harrowing ground-level view of war, bolstered by no holds barred performances from Charlie Sheen and Willem Dafoe.
Where to watch? You can watch it. You can watch Platoon for free on Tubi or Pluto TV with a subscription to Amazon Prime. Rent or buy it on Apple TV, Google Play, or Fandango at home.
Yeah, but I think I had actually watched the movie for free on Tubi.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that is all that I have for today's review of Platoon. Before I let you guys go, I do just want to give you guys the floor to just kind of, shamelessly plug your show as much as you would like. You can maybe, I guess, easy. You can maybe talk about where they can find your band's music, Shame Penguin, where they can listen to Shame Penguin, and where they can find Preston and EZ Bluez, just kind of like what you guys have coming up, if anything at all. So I just want to give you guys the floor.
Let's go. Preston and EZ Bluez every Monday and Friday on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Also, just follow New Haven Independence Facebook. You can catch episodes of Preston and EZ Bluez there, 12 p.m. Eastern every Monday through Friday, and we have our own Facebook page, Preston and EZ Bluez, WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, where you get majority of all our episodes from 2024 to 2025 on there. And you can catch us at the IndieCon at Southern Connecticut University. We're going to be there for next month. I believe it's March 10th. Don't get me wrong. The dates was a little bit off on the date for that one. But I know another one we're going to be at is the SporiaCon. We're going to be interviewing some vendors over there. That's Sunday, April 27th at Next Haven in New Haven, Connecticut. So we're excited for that. And we're not going anywhere in 2025. Also, Three Nerds Venting every Monday. That's what we do it. Myself, Easy, and the Professor. Same platforms, New Haven Independent and 103.5 FM. We appreciate y'all. Thank you so much.
And you can actually find all Shame Penguin stuff on all streaming platforms. Feel free to give it a like, a follow, and enjoy. We have an album that'll be coming out by the end of the year, but we're looking actually more for an April release date. So just stay tuned. We're filming the last of the visuals necessary for the release for that. We're wrapping that up this week. So hopefully we'll be all done.
Sure, for sure. I actually was not aware that you guys would be at. You said it's IndieCon?
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be an Indie con at Southern Connecticut. I don't want to butcher the date though. I believe it's March 10th or March 15th. No, that's a Sunday. I think it's the second or third Sunday. And we're gonna be there interviewing vendors, having a good old time. We're gonna actually be interviewing the creator very soon and founder of the IndieCon, the Indie Comic Con in Southern Connecticut. It's gonna be a good time.
All right, definitely. I might have to actually stop by there, but because I've actually never been to a comic book convention.
What, sir?
Yeah. Terrificon. I got to get to Terrificon. I don't know if maybe not this year, but like probably like next year or something. I'll have to get over to Terrificon, and then at some point make it to NYCC, SDCC, of course.
Right. Actually, very sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Indie Comics Creator Con. That's going to be March 15th, 2025. I believe that date is
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday we're going to be there. It's going to be
March
a great
15th.
time. Yeah,
All
from
right.
10 a.m. to 5 p.m. 6 hours of local creators, and definitely support the local creators because you never know which may be the next big hit.
Exactly.
So it's really fun.
Okay, yeah. Cool. There's a comic book convention. Well, no, the Tech Expo in Las Vegas every January. CES, Consumer Electronics Show.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I have to give my second kidney. Go to that show. I have to.
Yeah, that's a definite kidney.
Yeah, definitely. I have to chop off one of my arms to and sell it.
Yeah,
go
yeah,
there.
that's
Yeah,
definitely an investment. That's my
huge
long term. I
investment. Yes.
want to get to CES at least once in my life. I got to get
Oh
to San
yeah,
Diego Comic
definitely.
Con, Terrificon, before while I still live in Connecticut,
I understand. Yeah.
Terrificon. But I guess before I officially close out this episode, I guess for my listeners, you guys, hey, Cobbs Corner fam, I know the episode kind of just cut out a little bit there, but you see, the weather's been kind of bad where I'm at here in Watertown, Connecticut. We recently just got some snow and then some rain, so I think my power had gone out at my house, but it's back now. So, just so you guys know, I will be doing two more episodes with Preston and EZ Bluez. We are doing Pulp Fiction next, and then we'll be doing Do the Right Thing to close it out. So stay tuned for those two episodes. That's all for today's review of Platoon. Definitely go check out Preston and EZ Bluez podcast. Definitely go and listen to their stuff. It's a really, really great podcast. If you like what you heard today, don't forget to give this podcast a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Feel free to again leave this podcast a written review on Apple Podcasts. For those of you who use Apple Podcasts, written reviews, they actually help a lot to help to get our help to grow the channel, grow the podcast. Word of mouth, of course. Tell a friend to tell all of their friends. Tell all your friends, your family members to tell their friends and family members. That's a great way for the podcast to grow. If you know someone who would like this kind of content, to my YouTube audience, make sure that you like this video, share it, subscribe, click that bell so you get notified whenever I upload new episodes. If you want to stay up to date on all things Cobbs Corner, then you need to follow me on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and Letterboxd. I am on Letterboxd as well. So all those links are in the show notes below. Email suggestions, email movie suggestions to me, comments, etc. at cobbscornerpodcast@gmail.com. If you made it to the end of this episode, I greatly appreciate it. Click the video on your screen right now to listen to my review of Rocky that I did with Preston last week. Or I guess last episode where we reviewed Rocky. As always, I will talk to all of you in the next episode. Peace.